Well, hello, and welcome to Mystic Brew as I play amateur weather observer. Okay, it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm in serious need of a shampoo, and I'm just going to use the Mystic Brew as I introduce this, but I think I'm going to quickly transition to the map. Okay, this is one of those real-time maps that I guess this new website Nullsoft. It's earth.nullschool.net, and so as you can see, I have the it usually is set in kilometers. I have it set to miles per hour, and it lets you click around onto these different things. Right now, there's one of these upstreams. So to orient you a little bit, because you might not be able to see it, this is the very tip of Florida. There's like a little curve here into it before it kind of comes out a little bit, and that's where Miami is. Okay, so if we put this right at the coast of Miami, we see currently 48 mile per hour sustained winds at the surface. Now, if we go up to 1,000 feet, you will notice there will be an increase in the wind velocity, or wind speed. And but again, most people's houses aren't at 1,000 feet. So the surface airspeed seemed to me to be the one that people, especially on Florida, being very low above sea level, that the surface airspeed would be a good read. Now, this is the north coast of Cuba here. And so if we look right over here, and this kind of color here, I don't know if that's like a bluish or an aqua or whatever, that's where things get hot. Like if I put the pointer right there, we see 103 miles per hour. So coming off the coast of Cuba right here, they got 57 miles per hour. A little bit further east, 60 miles an hour. A little further east, I'm going to stay right on the coast, 63 miles an hour, 62, 56, and I think as we get out, it'll start dropping, right? 44. Okay, now on the downside is this coming back, returning to Cuba, right over here, 51 miles per hour. And as we kind of follow that track, 48, 47, a little further out, 43. So as it's kind of returning up, 53. So, these are tropical, these tropical storm winds. A hurricane is 75 miles an hour of sustained wind. That means just like right now, this is a 60 mile an hour sustained wind going on. And so as we start going over into this, we start seeing 76. Now that's a hurricane force, sustained wind. And 91 is certainly hurricane sustained wind. And as we go a little bit more here, 98. So you can see it's getting pretty right over here. And there's 99. Okay, 96. Now, one of the reasons I'm clicking around because I'm trying to find, where's really what's, the hottest surface speed right now. Or now again, they might be measuring it in the upper thousands of feet, and things change here. I can even show you that. If I go to 1,000 feet, I don't know if these other ones are feet or whatever. I started playing with them, but it got a little bit goofy. But I know this is 1,000 feet. So as you can see, there's 102 miles an hour here, 102 there. 99 there. How about over here? 100 miles an hour. 101 miles per hour. So this, this is over the ocean here. So this is why, we came up to 1,000 feet, 103, 101. These are all hurricane force winds for sure. But let's just come over here. I refresh. This is Hurricane Irma we're looking at. Jose's over here on the right. So if we look at Irma, and I just refreshed the page minutes before I started the show, we see a Category 4, sustained winds of 130 miles per hour, because that's what they're talking about, the sustained wind. Now, the pressure is still pretty formidable. The record pressure before Irma broke it early in the week was 919 millibars. She was in the low teens earlier in the week. I think I saw a 914. And this kind of down, let's call it low pressure. The lower that pressure is, the more the upper atmosphere can be pulled in. So it's kind of like how much the vacuum. So this is still running a pretty good vacuum. In other words, it can power itself. Jose, on the other hand, has 944 megabars. Okay? I mean, it's a powerful hurricane for sure. But again, the record until Irma broke it earlier in the week was 919 millibars, and Irma is holding at 927. You know, I mean, she is still got. This is a very, very powerful hurricane, but we're hearing 130 mile an hour winds there, 130 mile an hour winds, both a category 4 because of these sustained winds. All right, and then here's a quick little picture that I kind of saved from this. If I click on this, it'll start showing the storm, but you kind of get to see as I can kind of orient you, because I said that there's that little dip. You know, you have the very south of Florida, then it bends around, goes in, and that little nub is Miami. So that's why I was looking at Miami. Up at the next kind of nub is Palm Beach, right? And in the middle of this whole thing is Key West. Now I'm going to go back to the live map. Key West is experiencing hurricane force winds right now. Okay, so look where Key West is. Basically, Miami has this little pointer here, and then it kind of arcs towards Havana. So, you know, Key West is roughly in between here and here. So we're going to, I just want to orient you as I bring you to the map, because it won't be so clear on the other map. All right. So that's why I'm orienting you. Here's that point over here, and then here's that other point. So Key West is like right about here, right about in this area, right about here. I mean, could be off by a little bit, but so let's see what the maximum sustained winds are there. 93 miles per hour. Since a Category 1 hurricane is 70, 75. I didn't do the breakdown, but this is a hurricane. Key West is in the middle of a hurricane. But as we come to very, very south Florida, right over here, like this little bit, they're getting 64. I mean, that's just under a hurricane by 10 miles an hour. So, obviously it's a tropical storm they're experiencing. 69. Now there we go. There's a hurricane force wind right there on that tip, very southeastern tip. All right. As we come up a little bit before we hit Miami, 67, 58. Now right here, this nub here is Miami. 54. This nub here is Palm Beach. 44. And then you see the stuff coming off here on the other side, and I didn't, but 49, again, this is tropical storm here they're experiencing. 60 miles an hour there. 66. This is a little offshore, so if I put it on land, it drops considerably. Okay. See 48 on the land there. 37 right in the middle in this little area. 52 sustained. So obviously, coming over here is where it's real, it gets strong. We found that hurricane. We did find a hurricane one. There's 71. I'm not sure if there we go. There's hurricane. So anyway, so this is what I find just a little bit interesting. So let me go back to surface. All right. Surface. Back to Earth. Okay, so if we get back to the surface and take a look at over by Key West, 87 miles an hour. There might be a little bit over here, 81. But again, this is at sea level now, I guess. This is all hurricane force winds. And I wouldn't want to be on Key West. Now, again, Miami, right now experiencing 51 miles an hour. If we go in a little bit, 42. If we go like just off the coast, we get up to 54. So now I'm going to bring in this other map. Okay, and I'm going to activate it. Now you can see, now one of the reasons I want to activate it is because I'm going to hold it there. Here's Miami. Miami is getting some bands of heavy rain. That's kind of this, dark green into this yellowish green. Okay, so these are the heavy bands of rain. These are little breaks in the rain. Okay, little breaks. And so what I'm looking at, okay, we know Miami right now is getting, is in a tropical storm. And then, of course, we always concerned about flooding. And as I'm looking, I mean, it looks like they're really getting some rain. But these breaking bands, if you look, keep your eye on Miami. Okay, keep your eye on Miami. So you can see is they certainly have some passing thunderstorms, but it looks like a lot of the heaviest rain might have escaped Miami, which of course would reduce the misery index. So I just wanted to show you that. So we're going to come back here. So now we got, I'm trying, because again, Miami's, I don't know if anybody's there anymore, but they want to come back to stuff, and the less flooding there is, and the lower the winds are, their return should be a lot more joyous. So we're going to come back here, because this looks like where the hot winds are. There's 103 miles an hour. Okay, but that is offshore. That is offshore over here. On this side of the hurricane, although it's offshore, it's also the Keys. And as you can see, the Keys are experiencing hurricane force winds. Now, I'm going to shift over a little bit, because Jose, now again, as we just looked, here's Hurricane Irma again, 130 mile an hour winds, okay? Supposedly sustained. We're not finding it. We didn't find it at 1,000 feet either. Now, maybe at 10,000 feet, things change. And if it is happening at 10,000 feet, again, I'm an amateur weather observer. This is observing. And one of the things I'm observing is what would be the misery index for the people experiencing this storm. The weather is part of the media. I'm not saying they're not concerned about misery, but they're certainly, 130 miles an hour certainly is better for keeping eyes glued. If if it looks like the storm's passing by, it looks like the worst winds are by, and I don't know what Miami got earlier, but right now we see 53. I mean, again, this storm obviously earlier, but I mean, this is pretty intense stuff, and it never, and this is where the hurricane force winds are, and we're just, again, we're not getting there, and I'm glad. Again, just because if they're hyping to keep people glued and raise the anxiety and whatever, that's one thing. But if this is not so, in other words, to me, this is kind of like, all right, they might be hyping it, but their hype is good news for human beings. I have to wonder how I know the evacuations based on the forecasts were absolutely prudent. With the forecast seeming to have shifted, it makes you wonder if a lot of energy wasn't expended. And since it didn't happen, Okay, so let's take a look at Jose now. All right? Bring Jose up. Let the map load. Jose also is supposedly 130 mile an hour sustained winds. So let's find out what's going on here. So we're going to click. Okay, we're going to click right outside. Now, mind you, I didn't click in the eye mostly because the eye is usually the quietest. See, if you go right in the middle of the eye, it's 10 miles an hour. As you come out, it increases, but the eye is, 66 there right as we're leaving the eye. There's 71 miles an hour. 71, 71, 62. What's going on here? 61, 59. On the other, let's see, here's like a little 73. I'm looking for the spots that look like they have high winds. 71. There's like a certain little color that they kind of emit. 74. And again, let's come on down here. 62. 67. 64. 65. 71. 77. There's a hurricane force wind. 78. That's a hurricane force wind. We'll play around again. We'll go to 1,000 feet. See what's happening there. Okay, as you notice right away, the same spot that was like a 77 is now an 83. We're going to go over here, 84. Okay, 77. So no, but again, they're up, higher in the atmosphere. I'm quite sure where the reconnaissance jets go. It gets higher. Again, I haven't really figured out this works. I don't know. I think this is 850 feet, and it just goes down more and more. So, like at 500, let's see what kind of readings we get there. Yeah, there's 85 miles an hour going on there. 92. So you can see, if we vary the altitude reading, we do get different readings. But for most, the surface index to me is where most of us will experience it. And the higher stuff, it's where it officially is recorded. And if we can nuance all that, everybody can be legit in their own way. But again, part of this was not just so much to point out little discrepancies and like big surprise. The media might be, knowing things like this, but they do measure them at, say, at 10,000 feet, and these are the winds. So it is official. It is official. But like I said, as surface dwellers, what's going on at the surface, I think, certainly has good applicability. And if we're looking to measure the misery index, looking at the surface, I think, helps us when we're looking for less of it. I have to apologize. It is late, and besides me looking haggard, my voice is failing me. So this was just my little look-see, and put out, I do other things besides music and research. This is, and during something like this is where some of my research kind of skills turn to with tools like this. So anyway, that's Jose. We'll return back to the surface. There we go. As we see at the surface, things are a lot calmer. And like over here, the northeast coast of Puerto Rico, which got battered by Irma. They're experiencing 7-mile-per-hour winds. Over here, right off the tip there, 6 miles per hour. So the big story is still Irma, and let me do a refresh. Moving at 6 miles an hour, I can't imagine a refresh will change much. And of course I have to reset this. There we go, miles per hour. And we come back into the intense zone, 96. So anyway, the Keys are in for a rough night, that's for sure. 99 miles per hour there. So I think that'll be it. And I'd like to say goodnight and thank you for sharing this little look at the weather, and especially an important one, and something that we really hope brings us less misery. And so far, it looks like South Florida, Miami, the East Coast has escaped something that could have been really, really disastrous. Anyway, that's it for me. Love to you all. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.